Imagine waking up one day and realizing that years have passed, but nothing in your life has truly changed. The dreams you once had remain distant, the goals you set for yourself have faded into the background, and the life you envisioned seems more like a fantasy than a real possibility. You feel stuck, as if you are merely going through the motions, waiting for something to change, but nothing ever does. Have you ever wondered why this happens? Why do some people take bold action and transform their lives, while others remain trapped in a cycle of hesitation and inaction? Today, we are going to expose a silent force that may be sabotaging your success, happiness, and potential without you even realizing it. This force is passivity, the habit of standing still while life moves forward. It is a subtle, invisible trap that keeps you from making the changes you know you need to make. And the worst part? Most people never break free from it. But you will, because by the end of this video, you will not only understand how passivity is controlling your life, but you will also discover the most powerful way to break free. And trust me, the final insight is the most important of all, one that could be the key to unlocking a future of action, confidence, and unstoppable momentum. Passivity is one of the most destructive psychological patterns a person can develop. It does not always feel like a problem at first. In fact, it often disguises itself as patience, overthinking, or the illusion of being careful. But in reality, it is a slow poison. It keeps you in situations that do not fulfill you. It allows fear to dictate your decisions. It convinces you that waiting is the best option when deep down you know that action is the only way forward. But where does this passivity come from? Why do some people charge forward in life while others remain frozen, unable to take the necessary steps? Psychologists have studied this phenomenon for decades, and one of the most well-known explanations comes from Martin Seligman, the father of positive psychology. He introduced the concept of learned helplessness, which explains how people become passive over time. In one of his famous experiments, Seligman exposed dogs to repeated, uncontrollable negative experiences. Eventually, the dogs stopped trying to escape, even when they were given a clear path to freedom. The same principle applies to humans. When we experience repeated failure, rejection, or discouragement, we begin to believe that our efforts are meaningless. This belief seeps into our mindset, shaping our behavior and ultimately our reality. But failure is not the only cause of passivity. In fact, one of the most dangerous causes is something far more subtle: comfort. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to fall into a routine, even if that routine is unfulfilling? The human brain is wired for safety and predictability. In the past, this instinct kept our ancestors alive, ensuring they avoided unnecessary risks. But in the modern world, this survival mechanism often works against us. We become comfortable with the familiar, even when it is not what we truly want. Days turn into weeks, weeks into years, and before we realize it, life has passed us by. This is the true danger of passivity. It does not feel like a threat. It does not come with alarms or warnings. Instead, it operates in silence. It whispers in your ear, telling you that there is still time, that you can start tomorrow, that you should wait for the perfect moment. But here is the brutal truth. There is no perfect moment. There is only now. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to take action. But let's take a step back and ask a deeper question. What is the real cost of passivity? What happens when we allow hesitation and inaction to control our lives? Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, provided a profound answer to this question in his book Man's Search for Meaning. He argued that the primary drive of human beings is not pleasure, as Sigmund Freud suggested, nor power, as Friedrich Nietzsche believed, but meaning. According to Frankl, when people lack a sense of meaning, they drift through life aimlessly, trapped in a state of emptiness and stagnation. And nothing strips life of meaning more than passivity. Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly alive? Was it in a moment of hesitation, waiting, and avoiding challenges? Or was it when you stepped outside your comfort zone, took a leap of faith, and pursued something meaningful? The truth is, meaning is not found in passivity. It is created through action. But here is the question that most people never ask themselves. If passivity is so harmful, why do we continue to fall into it? Why do we remain stuck, even when we know we should be moving forward? The answer may surprise you, and once you understand it, everything will change. Imagine standing at the edge of a decision, knowing that taking action could change everything, yet still hesitating. You tell yourself you need more time, that the conditions are not right, that you will do it tomorrow. But tomorrow turns into next week turns into next year, and before you realize it, nothing has changed. This is the invisible force of passivity at work, and the reason so many people stay stuck in lives that do not truly fulfill them. But why do we allow this to happen? What is the hidden force that keeps us trapped in inaction, even when we know that change is necessary? To answer this, we need to understand a concept known as the comfort trap. At first glance, comfort seems like a good thing. After all, who does not want to feel safe, secure, and at ease? But here is the paradox. The more comfortable we become, the less likely we are to take the risks necessary for growth. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it often comes at the cost of long-term fulfillment. Have you ever stayed in a job you hated because it was easier than starting over? Have you remained in a relationship that no longer brought you happiness simply because the thought of change felt overwhelming? This is the comfort trap in action. It convinces you that staying where you are is better than facing the unknown. But the truth is, the greatest regrets in life are not the mistakes we make, but the chances we never take. Psychologists have found that the human brain is wired to avoid uncertainty. Our ancestors relied on predictability to survive, avoiding risks that could threaten their lives. But in the modern world, this instinct often backfires. Instead of protecting us, it holds us back. Instead of avoiding danger, we end up avoiding opportunity. But here is the harsh reality. No one ever achieved greatness by staying comfortable. Every person who has ever accomplished something significant had to confront discomfort, uncertainty, and fear. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is not intelligence, talent, or luck. It is the willingness to take action despite the fear. This brings us to one of the most important questions of all. How do you break free from the grip of passivity? How do you stop waiting and start moving? One of the most powerful strategies comes from Mel Robbins, a motivational speaker and author. She introduced a simple yet highly effective technique called the 5-second rule. The rule is simple. When you feel the instinct to act on a goal, count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then move. Do not give your mind time to hesitate. Do not allow fear to creep in. Take action before your brain talks you out of it. This technique works because it interrupts the cycle of overthinking and forces you into action. Another crucial strategy is to shift your focus from motivation to discipline. Many people wait to feel ready before they take action. But the truth is, motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes, and if you depend on it, you will always struggle to take consistent action. Instead, discipline is what creates real change. Discipline means doing what needs to be done even when you do not feel like it. It means making decisions based on your goals, not your emotions. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, explains this perfectly. He says that success is not about making massive changes overnight, but about committing to small, consistent actions over time. If you improve by just 1% every day, those tiny improvements compound, leading to extraordinary results. The problem with passivity is that it works in the opposite direction. Small moments of hesitation and avoidance also compound, leading to a life of regret. But here is something most people never consider. Passivity is not just about big decisions. It shows up in small ways every single day. It is the hesitation before speaking up in a meeting, the delay before starting a workout, the endless scrolling on social media instead of working on something meaningful. Every moment of passivity reinforces the habit of inaction, making it harder to change. This is why self-awareness is crucial. You must begin to notice when and where passivity appears in your life. Ask yourself, what are the things I keep postponing? Where am I letting fear or comfort dictate my choices? What would my life look like if I stopped hesitating and started acting? But before we dive into the most powerful way to break free from passivity, there is one more thing you need to understand, something that is keeping millions of people stuck in lives they do not love. And once you realize what it is, you will never look at passivity the same way again. There is a hidden force behind passivity that most people never recognize, and it is one of the most powerful psychological barriers to action. It is not fear, laziness, or a lack of motivation. It is something far more deceptive: identity paralysis. Identity paralysis happens when you unconsciously define yourself by your current limitations rather than your potential. It is the belief that this is just the way I am, or I have always been this way. And when you believe that your personality, habits, and behaviors are fixed, change feels impossible. Think about it. If you see yourself as someone who struggles with discipline, how likely are you to stick to a new habit? If you believe you are not a natural leader, will you ever step up in moments that require confidence? If you convince yourself that you are bad at making decisions, will you ever truly take control of your life? Your identity shapes your actions, and your actions shape your future. This is why people remain stuck in cycles of passivity, not because they cannot change, but because they do not believe they can change. Psychologist Carol Dweck, in her research on mindset, discovered that people generally operate from one of two perspectives: a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. Those with a fixed mindset believe that their abilities, intelligence, and character traits are unchangeable. They avoid challenges, fearing failure will expose their limitations. In contrast, those with a growth mindset believe that they can develop and improve through effort and learning. They embrace challenges, knowing that failure is not a reflection of who they are, but a stepping stone to growth. Now here is the critical insight. Passivity thrives in a fixed mindset. If you believe your circumstances define you, you will never take action to change them. But the moment you shift to a growth mindset, when you realize that every skill, trait, and ability can be developed, passivity loses its power over you. So how do you make this shift? How do you break free from the identity paralysis that keeps you passive? The answer lies in identity-based action. James Clear in Atomic Habits explains that true change does not come from setting goals. It comes from changing the way you see yourself. Instead of focusing on what you want to achieve, focus on who you need to become. If you want to be a confident person, start acting like one. If you want to be disciplined, make decisions that a disciplined person would make. Every small action you take is a vote for the person you are becoming. This is why action must come before motivation. Most people believe they need to feel ready before they take action. But the truth is, action itself creates motivation. When you take even the smallest step forward, you shift your identity. You start to see yourself differently. And once that shift happens, momentum builds. But there is one more layer to this. Passivity is not just about mindset or identity. It is also about emotional resistance. Many people remain stuck because taking action triggers deep emotional discomfort. Maybe it is the fear of failure. Maybe it is the fear of judgment. Maybe it is the fear of leaving behind an old version of yourself. Neuroscientists have discovered that the brain treats psychological threats the same way it treats physical threats. When you consider stepping outside your comfort zone, your brain perceives it as danger and activates the amygdala, the part responsible for fear and survival instincts. This is why taking action often feels so difficult. Your brain is not trying to sabotage you, it is trying to protect you from uncertainty. But here is the key. You do not need to eliminate fear to take action. You just need to act anyway. Every time you take action despite fear, you rewire your brain. You teach it that discomfort is not a threat. You build what neuroscientists call psychological flexibility, the ability to move forward even when you do not feel completely ready. And the more you do this, the more natural it becomes. So if passivity is rooted in mindset, identity, and emotional resistance, what is the ultimate way to break free from it? The answer is simple, but most people never realize it. And once you do, everything changes. The ultimate way to break free from passivity is to embrace radical responsibility. Radical responsibility means fully accepting that your life is in your hands. No more waiting, no more excuses, no more blaming circumstances, other people, or even your past. It means realizing that no one is coming to save you, and that every choice you make or fail to make is shaping your future. This is a difficult truth for many people to accept because it eliminates every justification for inaction. But it is also the most liberating truth you will ever embrace, because once you take full responsibility, you reclaim your power. You stop waiting for life to change and start changing your life. But here is where most people go wrong. They believe taking responsibility means figuring everything out at once. They believe they need a perfect plan, complete confidence, and absolute certainty before they take action. This is another trap. The truth is, action creates clarity, not the other way around. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, once shared a powerful insight about decision-making. If you wait for 100% certainty before making a decision, you will always be too late. He explained that in life, you will never have perfect information. You will never feel fully ready. But if you can make a decision with even 70% of the information available, you should act, because action leads to learning, and learning leads to better decisions. This is why successful people are not the ones who have everything figured out. They are simply the ones who take action despite uncertainty. They start before they feel ready. They take small steps, learn from experience, and adjust along the way. But what about failure? This is one of the biggest reasons people remain passive. They fear failure so much that they would rather do nothing than risk making a mistake. But here is what they do not realize. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a necessary part of success. Thomas Edison, when asked about his repeated failures while inventing the light bulb, famously said, "I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that will not work." This is the mindset of every successful person throughout history. They understand that failure is not a reflection of their worth or ability. It is simply feedback. It is information. And the only true failure is refusing to try. So how do you put all of this into action? How do you finally break free from passivity and start living with purpose and momentum? First, eliminate the idea that you need to feel motivated before you take action. Motivation is a result of action, not a prerequisite for it. Instead of waiting to feel inspired, make action a non-negotiable habit. Second, redefine your identity. Stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles with action or has always been this way. Your past does not define your future. Decide today that you are a person of action, and then prove it with your behavior. Third, lower the barrier to action. Many people stay stuck because they believe they need to take massive steps. But the truth is, progress comes from small, consistent actions. If something feels overwhelming, break it down. Want to start a new project? Spend just 5 minutes working on it. Want to build a new habit? Start with the simplest possible version. Small steps lead to big changes. Finally, commit to making decisions faster. Overthinking is one of the biggest contributors to passivity. The longer you hesitate, the more doubt and fear take control. Set a rule for yourself. When faced with a decision, give yourself a short window to decide, whether it is 5 seconds, 5 minutes, or 1 day. Then take action and move forward. Because at the end of the day, life rewards action. Opportunities do not wait. Time does not wait. The future is being shaped right now by the choices you make. So the real question is, what will you do next? Will you continue to wait, overthink, and hesitate? Or will you take control, step forward, and start creating the life you truly want? The choice is yours. And that choice, more than anything else, will determine your future. Thanks for looking.